Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a video about Samsung's premium renewed smartphones. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with all of you is because I really had no idea that this was even a thing. So I'll include a link in the description, and let's get right into it. When I got my Fold 4, I knew that for the first time in roughly a decade, I would not have a backup device, but I wasn't really worried. But as time passed and I saw that, with my injury, my right hand has been really suspect, I started to get concerned about the safety of my device. So when I saw a deal on the Samsung Note 20 with that premium renewed title, I said, I'm going to take a look because I've always been a Note user prior to transitioning to the Fold. Granted, I did flirt with a Flip for a little bit. It was Gen 1, not this Gen 3. I saw this listed, this Note 20, for $280 US, and I will include a link in the description. Of course, it doesn't come with the case. And you may be saying to yourself, Ed, that's the price for a regular Note 20. It's an old phone. What is interesting about this? Well, I'm going to explain right now. With Samsung's renewed premium, not only are they making sure that essentially the device is like new, they're also throwing a new battery in it. They're also giving you a 1-year full manufacturer's warranty, just as if it were a new device. But then here is the real kicker. You're also getting a 1-year window to return this to Amazon for a full refund. Granted, you can't destroy the phone, crack it. You get the picture. So this is really a win-win, whether you're looking for a backup like I was, or even a primary phone. Now, I'm not saying I would recommend this as a primary device, merely because Samsung is not going to be giving it any more security patches that may or may not matter to you. And from a software perspective, it is at the end of the line. I believe it's already received its last update this year. I may be wrong. Correct me if I am. Not a big deal. But the good news is that this is a modern headset in every way, whether we're talking about the 6.7-inch OLED display. Granted, it's only 60 hertz, not a 120 high refresh panel like all of the ones now used, not just in my Fold, but pretty much every flagship device on the market. We've got great cameras, decent battery life, and my favorite feature, we still have an S Pen. So really, this has a lot going for it. And then the beauty of the and don't forget that front-facing camera, the beauty of the $280 price point is that if I wanted to trade this in, I assure you, with the launch of the new Galaxy S devices that is literally happening tomorrow, or the announcement, I should say, the reveal, which I didn't promote because I don't work for Sammy, right? And this is not a sponsored video, if anyone was thinking that. I should have said that right at the top. This is going to be worth a lot more than what I paid. But I don't know that I'll want to trade it in, because if you just want to trade in a device, go and grab, and many of you already do this, a refurbed device that has high trade-in values, and voila, you've saved yourself some money. That wasn't my intent when buying this, but I know that it is inherently worth more to the price of a new phone. So realistically, I'm expecting a trade-in value on this of around $600. It may be a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. It could be closer to $5. Either way, that's going to be a solid investment all around. And remember, I can get my money back anytime I want. And I don't intend to return it for no reason, because that's kind of screwed up. But the beauty of this is also you're doing something that's good for the environment as well. If you were wondering where all these traded-in phones go, now you know, because I was starting to wonder. And this is why Samsung wants to know that you have no scratches, no cosmetic damage, even on the camera array, because the only thing they want to replace is a battery if they must. And that's how we get a guaranteed product like this. In fact, a better guarantee than you get on a brand new device. Let that sink in. So this is one of those instances where buying a refurb could actually be better than buying it new. But of course, this phone is years old. So only better than buying, let's say, a new piece of crap, clearly, or anything that would be comparably priced for around $300 to $500. This not only will outperform, but you're getting better software too. And that's another thing I wanted to point out. Years ago, the argument with Samsung would be they have great hardware, but their software isn't necessarily up to snuff. In fact, most people would point to Apple and say, well, that's where you get the best experience overall, the combination of hardware and software. But anyone who's been awake for the last decade knows that Apple has been sitting on their hands for years. They stopped being creative pretty much when Steve Jobs died. I'm not saying nothing good came after that, but they certainly have just made money and not necessarily good products. And we have to weed fanboys out here at the same time. So essentially, once upon a time, they had the best hardware, best software. Then it was just, oh, they've got the best software. It doesn't matter that Samsung has OLED displays. It doesn't matter that Samsung has great cameras. All of those things were less relevant until Apple started to focus on them. This is common, nothing new. But now we're at a point where Samsung makes the best hardware and the best software. In fact, without what they have done to the Android operating system, it really just wouldn't be the same. The overlay that is now One UI that used to be TouchWiz, it truly is the one UI to rule them all. And Sammy, you should have already said that maybe was the whole, predication for that naming. But the software is really that good. And when you have the best software and you have the best hardware, the only thing that's keeping other companies around at this point is either that their prices are incredibly low or that their fan base is loyal beyond any recognition of brain cells. And this isn't meant to be insulting. It's just a matter of if you continue to pour money into a pit, you're not going to fill it. That's the premise of pouring money into a pit. And hopefully that makes sense for you. So Samsung's doing it right. Now what they're doing with these, I know some of you are going to say Apple does something similar. No, they don't. No one does this where you get your money back. And if I'm wrong, please tell me. Again, part of being on this planet is recognizing that you can constantly learn, always be educated beyond what you've already thought you've learned, as long as what you're learning is actually true. Let's keep that in mind, those of you that love conspiracy theories. Why these two are here, you may have been wondering, and I'll get to that. So the Flip 3, yes, the 3, is another really good example of an incredibly affordable yet very modern. In fact, nothing matches except other flips. I'm not going to count China phones here, and you shouldn't either if you live in this country. China makes a lot of great tech. There's a reason we don't really use their smartphones. Security. So this is another device that is a great piece of hardware that you can get at an incredibly low price on any given day. And this can be a backup. This can also be trade-in material because this is going to have high trade-in value, much higher than what it's being sold at right now. And it's another great example, besides this Note 20, of an even newer phone that some of you are going to prefer, obviously, because it can flip. And its form factor, it's the polar opposite of the Fold, right? Much more pocketable, but just as competent as a flagship candy bar style phone with a very different form factor. So just another thing to think of when you're searching for that backup, or again, even primary device. Then we have something like this. Now, if you're wondering why it's here, it's because originally I was going to make this video just about backup devices. And do you have backup devices? And I'm still curious if all of you do. But for me, I picked this up not as a backup device. This is literally a companion device because I think the design that Microsoft employed here is really nice, from a cosmetic and aesthetic standpoint. I think that the novelty of having two displays that are independent of each other are very cool, but that's also pretty much where, the story ends, because this is not something I would ever use as a phone. It has arguably the worst camera of any flagship device I've ever reviewed, at a price point over $1,000 US. Remember, this is Gen 1, not Gen 2. But now here at roughly $250 US, I think this makes an excellent Wi-Fi companion, e-reader or tablet device, productivity device. And in fact, when this launched, that was exactly what I thought Microsoft should have done with it. But they opted to really push hard into thinking that every Surface owner would want this thing. And while it's a novel idea, it's just the most impractical phone. Again, as a companion device, very practical, but notifications, no way to see them. Have a call coming in, no way to know who it's coming from. You want to use the camera, you need to open the device. No rear camera. Want 5G? Well, I don't have it in my market, but this phone can't do it anyway. So a lot of different things, and I could keep going. No wireless charging, no IP rating. There's a reason that Microsoft is no longer going to make the Duo with two displays, but instead it will be folding just like the King of the Hill. And that's because Microsoft was trying to tell consumers what they needed and what they should want, but the market told Microsoft that they do not want this. Now, again, I think had this been marketed as a Wi-Fi only device, like I'm going to be using it because this is locked to AT&T, but if you want it unlocked, it's like $100 more. I think that it is an excellent Wi-Fi only device. Again, it's a really inexpensive tablet with excellent build quality and design you literally won't find anywhere else. But as a phone, literally anything is better. I mean, give me any candy bar from the last 5 years, and I'll prefer that most likely, as long as it wasn't a China phone, over the Surface. Because as a phone, it's just terrible. As a companion, again, a cute device that I think does have a place, but still, even at $250, I think many of you will say it's a total waste and you'd rather invest that in a real tablet. And I get that, because for $500 and maybe even less, you can get one of those too at a good price. And that may be something I cover down the road, again, with this Amazon deal for Samsung's premium renewed product. So again, remember, full 1-year warranty, brand new battery, everything is perfect condition. And then you also have a year to return it at full value. I mean, even the packaging they use is actually new retail refurb packaging. So, and I don't blame them for creating this packaging, because it makes a lot of sense, as you can see noted right there, as a certified renewed product as opposed to just a regular refurb. So any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.